Hi and welcome to another YouTube video. In this video I want to show you a starter build that I've built using only the base game and the High School Years expansion pack. This is my first actual speed build that I'm doing with the High School Years expansion pack, and I'm so sorry that it took me this long, but I was on a family vacation and afterwards I got sick. But now I am here and I'm building and I'm really enjoying the pack so far. Gladly I got kind of like spared when it came to the real bad bugs, so I was actually able to enjoy the gameplay and I enjoyed it a lot. But this is about the build stuff. So this build that you're seeing me build right now is a renovation of the town square terrace lot that we got with the expansion pack with Cofferdale, and it's like a pre-established lot kind of that is meant as a starter home, so I kept it as a starter home. And that I'm renovating it is no shade to the person who built it, no matter if it's someone who works for The Sims or someone who is like an EA. It's not called EA Game Changer anymore. What is it now? Oh yeah, it's members of the EA Creator Network. There we go. So no matter if it's a Simmer that built this or someone who works for The Sims, I kind of like the base of the main house, which is why I kept it. I was in the mood for building a townhouse, so I made it a little bit more townhousey, even though it already was a townhouse before, but I just had like a different sort of townhouse in mind, I guess. And we got this pretty brick for the exterior walls with the High School Years expansion pack, and so I just used that one. So I went for red bricks and sort of white windows with red inside as like a little bit of an accent, and I thought this color combination worked surprisingly well because that is not a color combination that I like absolutely love in real life. I usually like some like white bricks with some darker accent colors in the roof and the windows and stuff, but this time I just did it that way, and I think for the townhouse aesthetic it worked really well. I also like, usually when you do starter houses, and especially if you renovate EA starter houses, you always want to make the build smaller so that you have more budget to fill the inside with a little bit more items and make it not look so empty. But in this case I actually added a little bump out in the front just to give the front a little bit more character by having this little like almost rounded section. I could have made it an actual rounded section because now we actually have round walls. However, the space that I wanted to use for this was only 3 tiles wide, and I think that's a little bit too narrow for the rounded walls because they're still very much restricted and also very buggy, and so I just did it with the usual octagonal walls, I should say, and that also fit perfectly with the roof that I put on top of it and everything. So yeah, I think that worked quite well, and also the reference image that I kind of had for this in mind also had the octagonal walls and not rounded ones, but I really plan on doing something with the rounded walls super soon. And in the original town square terrace build there was like a lot of wood around, and underneath the wood was some stone and stuff, and so it was pretty far away from nature. And so what I wanted to do with the landscaping, which I did all in debug because I needed to save some simoleons to have something for the interior. Like the money struggles went through this entire build, like they kind of always do when you're building a starter house. Of course I've made some like extreme ones where I've built a house using only like 5k simoleons or only 10k simoleons, or I think one time I did one for like 3k where it was basically like just some roof pieces and then with a house inside of it. But yeah, after those challenges you always feel like 20,000 simoleons is so much, and you could even like put decorations and stuff. But this time, also because I was only working with the base game and the High School Years expansion pack, I did not have many of the like super cheap items that for example come with Eco Lifestyle that are super useful, and also I did not have those university showers that make it possible to have these super tiny bathrooms, which also like need more space and more decoration and stuff, and therefore you just have like more money that you need to spend. And also the university showers, they are so inexpensive and space efficient, so I did not have many staples that I usually use for my very like cheap builds, and therefore it was a little bit of a struggle to stay within budget, but I kind of managed it quite well. It ended up costing 20,805 simoleons, which of course is not under 20k, which you usually want to aim for when you're building a starter house. On the one hand, for the like findability on the gallery, because there is like a different section for houses underneath 20k simoleons, and also because if you are only starting with one sim, you always have like under 20k simoleons, usually only like 18 or something. And so usually I aim for that budget, but this house actually has 2 bedrooms and space for 3 sims to sleep, and it kind of has 2 bathrooms, even though one bathroom is simply for washing your hands and going to the toilet, and the different bathroom is for showering. It's for a bigger family, and so you can start with 3 sims. And when you start with 3 sims, if I remember correctly, you actually do have a budget of 21k simoleons, and so you could immediately move into this house. But if you are starting out with only 1 sim and you do not want to use cheats to buy this house, it's, I think, still with gameplay, you could just start in the normal town square terrace. That's the name of the lot. So you can just start out in the normal lot, and then once you have like a job with your sim and you've earned money for like about a week, or if you are on top of like doing the job with your sim, you're also like collecting some collectibles and stuff, I think you could get the budget needed for this renovation of it within like 2 in-game days. So I would still say it's a starter house. It's pretty cheap and accessible, but I'm very sorry that I did not manage to make it cost underneath 20k in the end. But yeah, as you can see, when it came to the landscaping, I did lots and lots of tweaking with the tool mod to find the right height for every flower and the right size for everything. And also in the high school years expansion pack debug, there are some really cool items, and there are these like little pots that I used here as flower pots for sort of the entryway towards the door, and then I raised up some of the debug bushes to kind of sit in those flower pots, and I think it looked up like it ended up looking so cute. So I hope you like it too. But then also in front of the like actual front of the house, where I added the like half octagonal, there I made a little garden space that I kind of divided with some fences, and in there I also wanted to add some plants. And with that section, I don't think I'm 100% happy. I don't think it was 100% successful what I was trying to do, because for some reason, even though this was like middle wall height and I used windows for middle wall height, they were a little like low down when I wanted them to kind of like fill up that wall space, and so I had to raise them up, and I wanted to cover the space at the bottom where they did not go through to the bottom. I wanted to cover that space with flowers. However, for that to work, the flowers needed to be a little bit raised up, because the debug flowers that I used did not work as well size-wise as the bought flowers or plants that I used first. However, those were too expensive and I couldn't afford them in the starter house, so I had to change to debug. But then, like, while trying to make those plants look good, because they were too big, and so I had to scale them down, but then if they were on the right height, they were sort of floating, and so I needed a lot of plantage at the bottom to not make them look like they're floating, and that made the whole garden space look kind of crowded. I then later, by like making the crowded plants on the bottom also like smaller and lower and stuff, I kind of managed to get a hold of it, but it ended up looking kind of chaotic in the front. But I hope that you still like it, because I think the color scheme of that whole garden fit very well with the windows. But now let's finally get into the interior. I started renovating the interior with the bedrooms, because the most stuff that we got with the high school years expansion pack, I feel like I said the words high school years expansion pack way too much in this voiceover. I do not want to sound like, for this to sound like an ad, especially because I know that there are lots of problems with the new expansion pack, especially bug-wise, that I just hadn't experienced. So I don't know. What do I call it? Just the high school pack. there we go. That's a little shorter. So I know that the high school pack came mostly with bedroom items, and so I wanted to use them. I wanted to look at them. I was excited about them, and so I tried them first. And then I realized that I won't actually get to try most of them because I don't have any simoleons to work with. But before I could use anything, I had to readjust the floor plan because currently it was pretty inefficient, the way that it was split up, and also I wanted to make it 2 bedrooms, one for the parents and one for a teen, so that you can actually start going to high school with your teen immediately, but it's not just a random teen without family living in Copperdale, but it's actually a teen with a family. And so I think that is a thing that is needed sort of for a starter house in Copperdale, and so I just knew I needed 2 bedrooms, and so I did this. It was a little bit of like tweaking around, especially where I should put a bathroom, but I'm very happy with the floor plan that I ended up with upstairs in the end. When I got the idea to turn around the staircase, that was one that really helped the whole case, and then it kind of came together floor plan wise. Yeah, but then I actually got to decorate the bedrooms, and as I said, I realized that I would not get to see or try out many of the new items that we got because I did not have the budget for most of them. But there were these super cool new beds with the metallic frame that sort of like had interesting shapes in the front and the bottom, and that one is surprisingly cheap, so I got to use that as a bed, and I just did some tweaking around to be able to actually decorate the rooms and give them a little bit of character, and I feel like I managed to do that surprisingly well. Of course, I would have loved to put in more decorations, but I feel like the rooms currently do not look empty, and they feel like they are at least a little bit decorated, and yeah, like they have a little bit of character even without many decorations. I guess just because of the color scheme and the wallpapers that I choose, because I would say I was a little smart and I used a little noisier wallpapers to not make the walls look so empty. So if you are building a starter house, maybe that's a little trick for you too as well. Maybe use noisier wallpaper to make your walls look more filled up, and you will need to spend less money on paintings and wall decorations and stuff. And with the bedrooms complete, I got to the first floor, which was arguably my least favorite part of the entire building process, because at that point I had barely any money left. I was sort of struggling, but I really wanted there to be like fireplace because of the chimney on the exterior. I thought that was such a nice feature, and I wanted it to have like some sort of reasoning to be there, and so I really wanted to add a fireplace. But the first one that I used was really expensive, and so I basically did not have money for anything else. But later I swapped to the cheapest fake fireplace and added a window down there that shows some candles behind the window. I know there are like really cool tricks that people can do to actually make these fireplaces, like fake fireplaces, work, where they also have a window, but like a more see-through window, and behind that they add a basement, and then there's this super cool light from Island Living that has an actual flame at the top, and so they place that in the basement and raise it up until it looks through behind the window in the fake fireplace, and then you have like an actual fireplace, and it looks super cool. But in this case I did not have Island Living, and also I did not have the budget to add a basement, and maybe it also works if you just like push it down into the ground, but as I said, I did not have Island Living because I just did this with high school years and the base game, and so I just did it with candles. But if you like download this and you do have Island Living, now you know how you can change that to make the fake fireplace look better. But in general, I feel like the downstairs looks a little bit more empty than the upstairs because it's so open floor plan, because I needed to save some money by not using walls, and yeah, therefore I feel like it looks kind of empty, but I still try to make it as nice as possible with the money that I had left. And in the end I had no money left whatsoever, and I still did not have a kitchen, and I also did not have a shower because the shower had no space in the upstairs bathroom because I forgot that I would not have the university shower. And yeah, therefore I needed to give myself a little extra money. I think I added about 1,500 simoleons in the end. If I did not put in the second bathroom with the shower, and also if you would have no kitchen, then I definitely would have stayed underneath 20k, but those were just like very essential, necessary things. And so I gave myself a little bit more money. I went a little over budget, but in the end, I am very happy with how it came out. I think it's awesome for gameplay. I think I'm maybe going to do some gameplay in here as well. And especially I think the exterior looks really, really nice. And it's also a house that can be like made better and extended upon pretty easily when your Sims get more money. And so yeah, that makes me very happy. I hope that you like this build too. I hope that if you want to do some gameplay in here, that you're going to have a great time playing in it. If your Sims are experiencing some super cool things with the new pack or without the new pack in this house, please let me know also in the comments. Like, I'm always down to hear your Sims' stories, like what they're up to in gameplay, no matter if you're playing in a build of mine or not. But yeah, just in general, I hope you have a lovely, lovely day. I hope that you liked and enjoyed this video. If you would consider subscribing, you would make me super duper happy, and I hope we'll see each other again.